that thing smokes a lot. Is that a problem? Maybe, maybe not. Let's talk about it. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. My name is David Clark, and if you found this video, then you're probably finding that your snowmobile is smoking more than you think it should. Now, let me tell you one thing. If you have an old two-stroke snowmobile, it's gonna smoke, okay? But how much is too much can be a little bit subjective, and it kind of depends on a few things. And we're gonna go through some of those things today. Now, I'm starting this sled up in a fairly small shed. If I stayed in here while it warmed up, I might die. So guys, if you just bought yourself a sled, you brought it home, you started it up, and you're finding it smoking a lot, I was in the same position. When I first bought this old sled, so this is a 97 MXZ 670, when I got it home the first time I started it, I thought there was something really wrong with it. And normally with a gas engine, you do think when it's smoking a lot, there's something wrong. And believe me, this thing smoked a lot. Now, I'm not a mechanic, I'm just a guy with a sled, and I'm sharing my experience with you. Now, I will tell you, I'm not worried about the smoke that I see from this machine. I'm sure it's not a problem. In your case, it may or may not be, so I'll go through some of the reasons why I'm not concerned about it. If you really think there's an issue with your machine, then your best bet is always to take it to a qualified snowmobile technician and get them to have a look at it. But I'm going to go through a couple of things that you might see, some of the things that'll make it smoke, what might be normal and what might not. Now, whether or not I'm worried about it kind of comes down to three things, right? So when is it smoking? How long is it smoking for? And what color is the smoke? Now, one of the reasons I'm not too concerned is the color of the smoke that I see. So it's kind of a common blue-gray smoke that you see with two-stroke oil burning in a snowmobile. If you see black smoke, that's typically indicates something is wrong, something is burning. Sometimes it's a too rich mixture will result if you're burning too much gas. So if you have a lot of black smoke, you definitely want to shut the sled down and do a little bit more investigating. White smoke, on the other hand, usually indicates a coolant leak. So this is a liquid-cooled snowmobile. I've got coolant circulating around my engine, draws the heat off, takes it back to the heat exchanger. If that coolant has anywhere that it can get into the crankcase or into the cylinder and burn with the fuel, it's going to create white smoke. So if you got a lot of white smoke, then you're looking at maybe taking your top end down and having a look at, things like your head gasket. One of the reasons I don't worry too much about when I see excessive smoke from the sled is when I see it. So with this old sled, typically I'm seeing it my first start after a prolonged period of inactivity, right? So if it's been sitting for summer storage, or if we've had a bad winter and it's been sitting out here for a month before I could ride it, that first start is when I really see a lot of smoke from it. All sleds are going to vary. Their engine designs are all going to be a little bit different. My 2005 smokes very little compared to this 97. Now, when I was doing research for this video, one of the things I did, I went down to my local Skidoo dealer and I talked to the fellow there, really knowledgeable. And he pointed out on the rotary valve on this sled, there's an area where oil can leak in. So all two-stroke motors have some mechanism that opens and closes the intake port. So it's a reed valve. On the 2005, this has a rotary valve. So kind of like a disc, and it spins and it opens and closes the intake port. So there's seals in that valve where when the sled is sitting over the course of the summer, there's an opportunity for a little bit of oil to leak into the crankcase. Over time, gravity is going to pull oil down off the cylinder walls where it can pool up, or like I said, it can leak and invade your crankcase, and the sled is just going to smoke until you have an opportunity to burn that oil off. The other reason I'm not concerned about it is how long it smokes for. I start the sled up, I run it for a bit, get it up to temperature, take it for a little run, and that smoke goes away. So if you've been following the channel for a while, you'll see in my riding videos, you don't see big billowing clouds of smoke out behind the sled. So that's another clue. If you're out on the trail and you're choking your buddies out, you might have a problem. Now, the other issue related to storage that may make it smoke a little more than normal is gas. If you got a tank full of old gas, that may impact how much it smokes as well. So make sure you got fresh gas in the sled. Now, if you're finding that, you're riding the sled, you're warming it up, and that smoke never goes away, it's always excessive, you might have a problem with the oil pump. Now, there's a little mechanism, they're all going to be a little bit different, but there's a mechanism on the oil pump that's attached to your throttle, and as you give it more gas, it gets more oil. Those mechanisms can wear out over time, the springs can wear out over time, and when you let the throttle off, they don't return to a neutral position, and you end up getting more oil injected in the sled than it should. I'd be really careful about playing with that too much. If you're not comfortable, that's something you might want to talk to a shop about. I would rather my sled get more oil than it should than not enough. Now, in a video about smoke, it's worth pointing out that we all know the expression where there's smoke, there's fire. Sometimes there is. Now, you probably don't think of a greasy, dirty engine compartment as an ideal place to call home, but believe it or not, critters like squirrels and mice will do exactly that. Now, I haven't had it happen on a sled yet, but on this zero-turn mower I bought, when I got it home, it had been sitting for a little bit before I bought it. I got it home, changed the oil and spark plugs, and I pulled the shroud off the motor, and up underneath that plastic shroud was a nest. And that material are things like, dried leaves, dried grass, shredded paper, things that'll burn fairly easily. So a really good way to make sure that the smoke you see isn't from a fire, at the beginning of the season when you're getting your sled ready to ride, take a flashlight and check all the little crevices in the engine compartment looking for nests. So if your sled is smoking a lot, particularly when you first started up, hope that puts your mind at rest a little bit. Try those things. Get it up to temperature, ride it, does it go away. Make sure that you got fresh gas in it. How about you? Post something in the comments below. What kind of sled do you ride? How old is it? How much does it smoke when you started it up? Okay, I think that's it for this video. I hope that helped you out. If it did, take a second to hit that thumbs up. Until next time, I'm David Clark. Thanks for taking the time to watch.